Good evening, everyone. Master Jason Feng Shui is sharing with you BaZi, Zi Wei Dou Shu and Feng Shui knowledge again. Within my many years of being a BaZi, Zi Wei Dou Shu and Feng Shui practitioner, one of the questions that is most commonly asked is that what is my previous life? And was I an animal? Was I a god? Was I a Buddha? Or was I a human being? And was I a male or female gender? Okay, so a lot of clients would ask me this kind of question. And to be honest, right, although most importantly, right, to live a happy life, the Buddha has always encouraged us to focus on the present life instead of thinking about our past life. But nonetheless, we humans are always curious. We would always like to find out what were we doing in our past life that brought about certain karma or karmic consequences, for example. And some of us may even feel that our family members or our friends, our close friends, right, are people that whom we might have known in our previous life because right sometimes, for example, we meet someone that we just met someone, but suddenly we can feel that right that person has a form of chemistry, a very special kind of bonding with us, which we can't explain from a logical or scientific point of view. Okay, so today's my sharing will I will try to be as thorough as possible. There is actually a way for us to find out who is or what did we do in our previous life, and that can be derived from Zi Wei Dou Shu reading. Okay, so as I'm sending the videos link out, please just give me a moment and I will start the session shortly. As many times I have already introduced in my previous videos, right? Shui is one of the most powerful method for astrological forecast or destiny forecast. It comprises of the various domains, right? For example, we have the siblings domains, we have the parents domains, we have various domains related to wealth, career, related to our thinking, our behavior, related to our health, etc., etc. And particularly, there are few domains that will help us to analyze our previous life. And today I will touch on all these, hopefully for those students, especially for those students who have a strong interest towards 紫微斗数, you will be able to know how to find out who you were exactly right in your previous life. Okay, so without further ado, let me start with sharing with you the screen first, the iPad as in the 紫微斗数 birth chart, how a typical 紫微斗数 birth chart will look like. For example, okay, all right. Recently, a lot of people has been talking about Donald Trump and Kamala. Perhaps I will just use Donald Trump as an example. Okay, so want to say hi to all the viewers first. Maria, thank you very much for watching. Today I actually I didn't meet up with my parents. Actually took a rest at home and just want to recharge. Okay, because it has been a busy week. So also in March 128, good evening. Likewise, Vanessa, Chu, thank you very much for watching my live video. And William, likewise, thank you very much for being here. And Guan Tao. Yep. So without further ado, okay, let me first start off by introduce to you some of the basic concepts regarding analyzing our previous life. Okay, in terms of 紫微斗数, okay, there is actually a domain called the 来因宫. All right, how it is being translated to English is that it is a domain that will tell us what is the purpose of us being here within this lifetime. It is called the 来因宫. And how are you able to locate your 来因宫? Okay, it is actually not that difficult. Okay, in order for you to locate your 来因宫, right? Basically, you just have to look at your what I call the heavenly stamps, right? Of your year of birth, right? For example, right? Let's say, right, we have Donald Trump's birth chart, right? Donald Trump's birth chart. He's born in the year of the what I call the Bing Shu, right? Bing Shu, and then we can actually go directly to the heavenly stems of Bing, right? And it is where his Lying Gong will be. Okay, so for in his case, right, his Lying Gong is actually as this Lian Zhen Hua Ji. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, for someone who has Lian Zhen Hua Ji and is being paired with, or in Donald Trump's case, right, for example, the Bing, right, is actually where he is having at the health domain or the bodily domain, right, as shown by Donald Trump's chart. So being paired with Lian Zhen Hua Ji, and that's the reason why, right, we can consider him to be someone in his previous life who could have been also a politician, okay? Because Lian Zhen is a star that is always related to someone who is, who is, always involved with politics, okay? So different people will have a different 来因宫. Basically, the 来因宫, right? Let me repeat again in Chinese. 来因宫就是呢我们生年的天干所在的那个宫位。来解读我们这个命盘呢，来看我们这一辈子来到这个人生的一个我们说 mission 一个 life mission 的哦，所以我们生年天干所启动的那个事化，也是能够影响我们看到能够看到什么？打个比喻好像 Donald Trump 他的来因宫就在这边嘛，就是廉贞化忌嘛，对不对？所以我们也可以打开自己的命盘所以从用华语再讲解，就是呢，你打开你自己紫微斗数的命盘的时候然后看一下你出生的年份的天干是什么打个比喻，你是今年出生的，你是甲辰年出生的，那甲的那个天干呢，就是代表你的来因宫所在之处。打个比喻你打开你的紫微斗数命盘，你看到你的来因宫里面有颗星叫做天梁星，那它是比较宗教性的，就可能代表你上一辈子是一个有宗教修行的一个人，可能是一个和尚甚至不一定是和尚可能是其他宗教的，是个道士，或者甚至一个 pastor 有这样的情况出现。So to repeat myself once again in English for those who are not too familiar with 紫微斗数, just remember.Look at your year of birth, the heavenly stems of your year of birth, all right? For example, this year is the 甲辰 year. So you have to use the 甲 as the point of reference in your 紫微斗数 chart. Look at the domain or the court whereby the 甲 heavenly stem is at. And then subsequently, you'll be able to find out, right, through the association of the stars meaning,what or who exactly you were in your previous life. Okay, so this is something that's quite interesting. One of the method for determining who you were in the previous life. For example, if you were born right within the domain of, for example, having 武曲 right within your 来因宫, then it could mean that in your previous life you can be a businessman or entrepreneur. Okay, so this is how we go about determining our previous life. Okay, but of course there are actually various methods for determining our previous life. All right, but just want to one by one give you some example. There is, like I already said, right, 单星不论命，单宫不论命. In terms of 紫微斗数, we can never just focus on one domain.One specific domain to tell you everything. We must always use various domains and various stars in order to give you a very comprehensive, right, analysis. But just for example, in the case of Donald Trump, he could actually have been a politician also in his previous life, and we can see that, right, because he's born within the year of Bing Shu.So follow me, okay, as you look at this Bing here, this Bing, right, which is found in the heavenly stems of the year of birth. Find the Bing within his domains, right? His domains whereby Bing has fallen into is right at his body domain or the health domain, which is paired with Lian Zhen, being paired with another negativity enhancer star. So there's a very great chance that in the previous life of Donald Trump, likewise,he was a politician. Okay, there could be a very high chance. But when it is being paired with Hua Ji, it could also mean that he was, right, in his previous life, he was a politician who was not too not someone who has a very high moral standard, or he has done a lot of illegal activities in the past as a politician in his previous life. Okay, because we know that when Lian Zhen is being paired with Hua, it is always related to illegal activities. And when we look at Donald Trump's life, even in this lifetime, all right, because the bodily domain can also represent his second nature. Within this lifetime, we are also quite sure, right? If you look at the history of Donald Trump, he has indeed committed various crimes, right? Like sexual harassment, family charges, different kind of even like first kinds of legal problems that he faced, like bankruptcy, etc. Right? So when we look at Donald Trump as an example, we will always bring about certain form of leftover from our previous life in terms of our personality and characteristics. So in the previous life, Donald Trump, right, if we are to believe Zi Wei Dou Shu, this school of thought, right, that the Lai Yin Gong represents the previous life, Donald Trump actually has a lot of karmic debt, in the sense that he's not a very moral person with a very, or at least we are quite sure that he is already a criminal, right? He has broken various laws in the past. And that is the same, right, of the same personality or characteristics or karmic traits that we can see from his birth chart. And all of us is the same. A lot of us has to look at our birth chart and see what is it that we have brought over, carried over from our previous life. Okay, and that can actually help us to cultivate further, right? For example, Donald Trump previous life has done a lot of wrongs, but in this life if he continue to make a lot of mistakes, right, then in the future he may not be able to enjoy a very positive reincarnation already. Okay, so this is just for example. I know today's topic is a little bit deep because a lot of you guys have asked me that question before. How can I analyze my previous life within Shui Dou Shu? I know that when I explain to you this concept, many of you will not be able to comprehend because you really need to have a basic understanding of Zi Wei Dou Shu in order to calculate this. But since you asked, I will share. All right, how much you can absorb, I really have to depend on your own diligence as to doing more research on your own and or more background reading. Okay, but I will tell you as it is. How we can use Zi Wei Dou Shu to understand our previous life. And other method to analyze our previous life is to look at the chart whereby we have to move backwards to where our life development is. In the sense that, for example, in Donald Trump's case, his first decade is of Yin Yang, second is of Tan Nang, third one is of Ji Ju, fourth one is of Zi Xiang, fifth one is of Tian Liang, sixth one is of Qi Sha, seven is of empty domain, and then eight is of the Lian Zhen, and then 9 is also of an empty domain, 10 is of Po Jun, 11 is of Tian Tong, and then the last domain is Wu Qu Tian Fu, right? This Wu Qu Tian Fu, which is the last domain of the decade trans progression, is also a domain whereby you can look at your, you can have an overview of your previous life. And as we can see, in terms of Donald Trump's case, he was having Wu Qu Tian Fu, right, at the domain, which is before the first domain that he has within the Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart. So we can also see, right, within the previous life, Donald Trump actually has a lot of wealth likewise, okay? But of course, right, this is just an example. For example, we can look at Kamala, right? Kamala, what was his previous life? In the previous life, Kamala was actually someone who is very eloquent, also having Po Qu, Jumen at his this last domain of his decade trans progression. So we can see, right, it actually will actually be brought over, all right? How we have cultivated in our previous life, or what kind of personality or characteristics that we had in our previous life, we will usually bring it over to our current present life. So thank you very much, John, Simon, and Albert for being here tonight. And that is also the reason why, right, if you look at Tibet, if you are familiar with the Tibetan style of Buddhism, there are a lot of Rinpoche, right, who reincarnate, or Dalai Lama, who will reincarnate. And when you really look at their photos or some of their past life personality and characteristics, they will actually bring over to the present life. And that is very common. That's a very common case for throughout my more than 30 years of learning BaZi and Zi Wei Dou Shu and Feng Shui. I have seen many of such cases. Many of us actually have brought over our what we call karmic traits. That's why within my in-depth astrological reading reports also, which a lot of you have subscribed before, I will also describe your karmic traits because it is very important for you to also know about your previous life in order to have a better form of cultivation in our present life. Okay, so of course, right, this is the second method of how to find out your what we call the previous life. Okay, and the third method, now I will show you the third method. Okay, the third method is to look at the Sun Zhu. Okay, for example, I will use Kamala's case for study, right? Within all Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart, if you are familiar with the Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart plotting, you know that there's this Sun Zhu, right? There will always be this Sun Zhu written at the center of the Zi Wei Dou Shu chart. Okay, for example, Kamala Sun Zhu. Sun Zhu, to be translated in English, means the I call the body master, so to speak. All right, I know it's very hard to translate from Chinese to English, but this body master is very much like a force or a spiritual energy that will dominate or govern your entire present life. And this life was actually from your previous life also. This force that govern your personality and characteristics is always also from the previous life. And in terms of Kamala, using her case as an example, Wen Chang is found being as her Sun Zhu. Then we can realize, right, but Wen Chang in terms of Zi Wei Dou Shu is a scholar star. It is a star that represents high achievement in terms of academic excellence, for example, or having someone who is very well learned, very good in her or his study. So we know that Kamala was indeed a scholar. She was a lawyer who passed even passed the examination and eventually became a public prosecutor in America. Okay, so she was someone very well learned. So in fact, right, time and again, when I look at my clients' past life, their previous life, likewise, I see a lot of similarities. And just using Donald Trump's and Kamala as a form of case study, we can also see, right, the Sun Zhu or their last domain of their decade trans progression, and also likewise their Lai Yin Gong, all shows very similar and kind of like it's like some kind of tricks that they have carried over from their previous life. So you likewise, right? You can open your Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart and also look at your this progression, the last domain of your destiny trend progression, and also your Lai Yin Gong and also your Sun Zhu in order to find out who you were in your previous life. And then fourthly, of course, right, we also have to look at our Fu De Gong because as obviously as it sounds, right, Fu De Gong to be translated to English means Fu, which is called fortune, and De, which means our morality or our behavior and attitude, especially in terms of our moral behavior and our attitude towards virtue. Okay, for example, we can look at Kamala's case. Or perhaps we can use back Trump's case. Okay, let's use back Trump's as a case study. Right, we can look at the Fu De Gong of Trump's. Trump's Fu De Gong is actually as this Tianji being paired with Jumen. And if we are to look at Fu De Gong, right, as Tianji and Jumen, this is another karmic trait that he has carried over to his present life. And Tianji is a star that is related to intelligence. Being very clever, being very creative, also being very flexible in his undertakings, in his in his style of handling issues, how he maneuver through political challenges, for example. Okay, so Donald Trump indeed has this Tianji star. All right, indeed has this Tianji star at his karmic domain. I like to call this Fu De Gong called karmic domain because indeed it is another domain that will shows our previous life karma. and how the previous life karma will influence our current life karma. All right. And other star we can see is Jimen. Both of these stars are at right position. Okay. Jimen is a star that is related to someone who can use his verbal skills to his advantage. But also can be related to controversy and a lot of dispute, a lot of like rumors, a lot of slanders, a lot of gossips for this person throughout his lifetime. Okay, so we likewise know Donald Trump is someone who is always being surrounded by controversy, being surrounded by gossips, rumors, etc., etc. A lot of negative news about him circulating in both within the media and online. Okay, so take a look at John Simon's comments. Body palace is called Shenju actually. Perhaps I will just write it down for those who can't really see the screen wordings properly. All right, there are various domains that we have to look at. Okay, so John Simon, I will write it down in Chinese. That means body palace represents our past life. No, all right. Please listen carefully as I explain again. All right, I will try to explain both in English and Chinese because it is always difficult to teach in English when it comes to metaphysics from Asia. All right, but the first domain we have to look at is the Lai Yin Gong. I'm sorry about the webcam falling. Okay, so I will adjust that webcam and I will write for you the exact wordings. Then you guys can do further research on them. Okay, because I know many of you guys are very interested in Zi Wei Dou Shu, and but find it very difficult to learn. It is not easy to learn. I have to be honest. But with perseverance and a lot of diligence, you will be able to understand it one day. I'm really sorry about the webcam; it keeps falling down. So please bear with me. Sometimes all these are really nonsensical issues. All right, so let me secure the webcam and we'll try to write for you. Lai Yin Gong, right, is the first domain. It is determined by finding out the year of birth, right? All right, let me use another color. Look at your year of birth, especially the heavenly stand, right? In terms of Chinese, of course, 就是你的生年的天干哦。This will be able to help you to determine where exactly is your Lai Yin Gong. Lai Yin Gong is a domain that will give you the meaning of existence. Of course, another words for it is the recent detail, right? Recent detail. Okay, so Lai Yin Gong is very important in terms of especially the Lofton style of Zi Wei Dou Shu reading, okay, or Qian Tian Pai, right? Qian Tian Pai, you guys can also do research on this. All right, Qian Tian Pai, right? So this is the first point we have to look at when we look at the Lai Yin Gong, or how do I translate this to or the origin domain. I will call it the origin domain. Of course, you can translate it in whatever way you prefer, right? There's no official translation yet, right? Because there's actually very few books that is on Zi Wei Dou Shu study written in English. So thus far there's no really English books that have given a very official translation. But the second domain that we have to look at is the last domain of our decade progression. Last domain of our decade trends progression. All right, I know it sounds like very wordy, but it's basically where is the okay. We will always have this Ming Gong. If you look at Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart, right, Ming Gong is the domain that represents you, right, throughout your life, and just next to the Ming Gong, usually, right, which is the Xiong Di. Right, it is also the domain or the full moon, depending whether you are male or female. So these two domains will be your last domain of your decade trans progression. Okay, so really you have to look at your own chart, because if you are born at yin year but you are male gender, you have to have a reverse sequence in terms of the product of the charts and vice versa. Okay, and the third domain we have to look at is called the Shenju. All right. So to clarify with John Simon, it is not the body domain. It is another unit domain by itself. Okay. So let me write it down first before I continue to explain. It is called Shen Zu. It is always written somewhere within your Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart. Okay. It is not, right? Not. All right. I have to emphasize not body domain. But I don't know how to how should I translate this. Perhaps I will just call it a body master. All right, body master. Of course, you can translate it in whatever way you want, but it is written here. All right, if you plot your own Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart, for example, I will use Donald Trump's chart as an example, and this will be where you see the body, the Shen Zu, right, which is written, right, usually written somewhere near to your date and time of birth, which is here, right. If you can see where my mouth is, perhaps I will change to a larger cursor in the future so that it will be more obvious. But this Shen Zu, for example, Trump, okay, Trump. The Shen Zu is also of Wenchang, all right, is also of Wenchang. So we can also see, right, Donald Trump in his previous life, he could be someone who is very well learned also. And we can also tell from present life, right, you cannot be stupid and become a billionaire and become a once upon a time America president. I believe he definitely has a high level of intelligence. He's definitely well learned, well studied. And likewise for Kamala, both of them have this Wenchang as their Shen Zu. And of course, the fourth domain, right, that we have to look at, right, when we analyze the Zi Wei Dou Shu chart, is the karmic mind domain. All right, the karmic mind domain is called Fu De Gong in Chinese. Of course, as I mentioned, you can translate it in whatever way you want. As most of my viewers are from Singapore, most of them are bilingual. So, like this Fu De Gong, and I have also explained this multiple times in my previous video. Fu basically means Fu Qi, and De means De Xing. De Xing. De actually means most of the time is referring to your virtue, and Xing, of course, is your behavior and action. Right. So I hope it's very clear. Fu Qi, of course, is your fortune. Fu Qi is your fortune. Of course, Qi, in terms of English, right, we like to call it Qi is a form of energy. So it's very much like the karma, the karmic energy that you carry forward from your previous life. And for example, we look at Donald Trump's. His karmic domain, right, is actually as Tianqi and Jimen. And we can also see additionally, there is another star at Donald Trump's karmic mind domain, 就是他的福德宫，有一个咸池星。All right, 咸池星, right, is a kind of like star that is quite controversial also. It is a star that's related to be honest, related to physical intimacy. And if we know Donald Trump well, right, I'm quite sure all of us kind of like have heard about story of him dating porn stars, right, having a lot of mistresses, sleeping with a lot of actresses, etc., etc. And likewise, we can see this Fu De Gong of Donald Trump, right, this karmic domain of Fu De Gong of Donald Trump. Indeed, he's having this Xian Ci star right at his karma domain or the karmic domain, all right? So means throughout this life, he will have a lot of chances of having close physical intimacy with a lot of females, okay? So this is something we know, which is quite obvious. So Zi Wei Dou Shu is actually very accurate. And to be honest, right, sometimes when I conduct astrological readings for my client, especially when both couples come together, the husband and wife come together, sometimes I don't dare to be very honest because, right, if I say something wrong, right, it may destroy the client's marriage. But, you know, as a practitioner who have seen so many people from all walks of life, you cannot avoid a situation whereby you open a chat and see that the husband is actually having an affair with another woman. And as a practitioner, and when both the wife and the husband is sitting in front of you, staring at you, do you really dare to say it out loud that your madam, right, listen, right, your husband is actually having a lot of other women in his life? these are some of the dilemmas that I struggle with, to be honest. I mean, how am I supposed to tell them honestly, right? Especially for female, someone who love, for example, some of their clients really love their husband so much, right? Some of the female clients, they love their husband so much. So am I in the position to reveal to the wife that, right, your husband is actually having an affair, right? These are some of the dilemmas that I have. That's why I would say, right, if you really want to have an astrological reading, it is best to come alone, all right? Don't come as a family, don't come as a couple, because when I, speak with you face to face, right, I can be more open, right, in the sense. But of course, I will also, when I tell you certain things that I see in the charts, I will respect your choice as to what you want to do with the information. But these are some of the dilemmas that we as astrologers have. And Pauline, thank you very much for being here tonight. Good evening, likewise. Sun Zhu, can it be called a soul palace? As mentioned, you can translate it in whatever way you think is appropriate. But the meaning behind Sun Zhu is very much like you are given this body, right? It is a force that will control your body throughout this present life. And a lot of this has to do with the influence from your past life. The karmic consequences from your previous life. For example, some of us are born with a body that is handicapped, or some of us are born with mental illness, and doctors don't know why, right? Some of us are born with very strange illnesses. A lot of times it's really because of the Sun Zhu, right? The Sun Zhu that you are having within your birth chart. If your Sun Zhu, right, when found within your chart is being paired with very negative stuff, it could mean that in your previous life you have done a lot of negative karma, like perhaps you chop off someone's hand or leg. That's why in this lifetime you are born without a hand or leg. Or in the previous life you torture people until they go crazy. That's why in this present life you are born crazy. All right, these are some of the examples that I can currently think of. But of course, right, you guys can do more research on it. And Maria, Pauline are both my students. So you guys, right, or you girls, right, can do more research, okay? How about if there's no major star in that palace? Then you have to borrow the star from the opposite domain. Within our Zi Wei Dou Shu birth charts, right, not all domains will have a main star. For example, using Donald Trump's case, we can see that some of his domains are actually empty. For instance, his wealth domain, for example, his wealth domain, which is here, for example, right? It is a star without main star. And indeed, okay, we can say that Donald Trump, right, was someone whom we believe that he has a lot of wealth, a lot of money. But if you look at his history, if you Google his history, you know that Donald Trump has faced multiple bankruptcies in the past. And that is actually reflected in his birth chart, likewise, having the wealth domain without main star. Usually, without main star, it would mean that that aspect of your life is usually filled with a lot of ups and downs or instability. So that's likewise for Donald Trump. And in fact, why is it that Donald Trump is fighting so hard now to try to win the presidential election? One of the reasons is that he is facing a lot of debts, huge debts, which if he joined the presidential election, he can postpone the days for repaying his debt. Because, those people who are chasing after him for all this money, right, will just wait and see, take a wait and see approach. Indeed, if Donald Trump can win this presidential election, then he will be able to, get a lot of, favors, right, get a lot of helps to repay his debts. So looking at him, right, are a lot of us things that, right, he's very rich. But indeed, if you look at his the actual situation, he's actually facing a lot of debts right now. And indeed, throughout his life, he has faced multiple bankruptcies. And indeed, it is also shown within his Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart having the wealth domain. Not having any major star, but there are some positive stars, I must say, like this Wen Qu star here. Wen Qu star is always related to financial success. So in a way, yes, he has achieved his shares of financial success, but also has experienced a considerable level of financial setbacks in his life, throughout his life actually. And Tianji, being paired with Hua Quan, yes, he likes to control money, using he's a businessman. Tianji is also related to cash flow or transaction. And he's very good in striking deals, as he's what he's famous for. And having Juman at the karmic mind domain or the Fu De Gong is also a sign that he's someone who is very good, very talented in striking financial deals. Okay, so that is one of his karmic traits also, something that he has brought forward from his previous life. Okay. So of course, right, this is not the end, okay? There are still many methods for us to analyze our previous life. And other method that is very interesting for analyzing our previous life is called the 27-star constellation, all right? But this will be of even a kind of difficult to study, but I will just give you guys some basic concept, then you guys can do more research on that. It is called the 27-star constellation. All right, 27 stars constellation. Basically, it is okay. How do I just want to spell this correctly? Constellation. It is a form of astrological study that divides our date of birth, right, into 27 types, right? In Chinese, it is called the 27星书或27星书。那这套星象学呢也是很好用的啊，尤其是你要用来看你前辈子跟近辈子的人那种人际关系，因为坦白说，很多人嘛，我们认识的人，我们现在身边的很多认识的人嘛，我们不能够否认呢，很多时候呢，我们发现这件事情呢。就是觉得呢，我们认识的，好像我们的爸爸妈妈或者兄弟姐妹，其实在上辈子也是可能是我们的家人的哦。All right, so let me repeat it once again in English. I'm just trying to say, right? A lot of our family members or close friends or even colleagues or our boss, right? They could have been someone we have already known from our previous life. That's why that is also the reason why sometimes when we meet someone, somehow we feel that we know that person, right? We have this sense of like, some people like to call it intuition or sixth sense or whatever you like to call it, but like a deja vu, right? Like a sense of deja vu, or like when we went to a place, or when we eat certain kind of food, right? It kind of like bring back certain form of memory, all right? And some of us, right, can't explain that feeling, right? But if you believe in reincarnation, a lot of us are actually reborn into this life again, and to be reunited with people whom we have already known in our previous life, right? Either because they owe us something or because we have to return them something. It's all about karmic debt. Okay, so in order to find out which star you are, right, using this 27-star constellation, you have to look at this table. I know the wording is kind of small, but you guys can do further research on that. I will just give you brief kind of introduction. Now Google is very advanced, so you guys can simply do a Google search and be able to find out more. So this is the charts that you have to look at, right, when you find out which star you are, right, as according to the 27 stars constellation, to check on your previous life. For example, someone born on the lunar calendar of the 7th or the 7th month on the date of the 29th, right, then that person, right, will be having this yi, right, this yi, or yi, all right, which is one of the 27 star. And then from that star, you can actually do a relation study. For example, that person's girlfriend is of the Lu star. Then you can check, right? For example, I will just give you an instant as to how to check, right? Like, for example, all right, a lot of people don't understand why a lot of guys, right, especially, right, they like to ask me, why is it that I love this girl so much, but I spent so much money on her, I took care of her so well, but eventually she left me and be unfaithful to me, and then went to be with another guy. All right, I have to tell you all this. Sometimes all these are past karma, results of past karma. And we cannot use logical mind to explain why someone loves you or someone doesn't love you. Why? Sometimes we just can't take a reason as to, especially in terms of love relationship, because a lot of times really it is the karmic forces that are in play, or it is the karmic forces that's serving as the undercurrent as to how we feel about a person. Okay, so let's say you are a guy that is born within this star of the right. Let me write it down for you. So just now I mentioned, right, someone born in the lunar month of 7 month, right? Born in the day of lunar day of 29, then his star will be of this Yi star. All right, it goes like this: Yi, Yi, called Yi, right? This star called Yi, right? This is one of the 27 star. And then, for example, we are going to find out her girlfriend. For example, her girlfriend is actually of the, or perhaps I will just use this Wu Zedong. If you guys know who is Chairman Mao, right? In the past, we have this China, who the communities the Communist Party was founded by Chairman Mao. In fact, Chairman Mao was born with a star of Yi, okay, or Yi, all right, so-called Yi. And then if you know, okay, let me write down Mao Zedong for those who can read Chinese. Mao Zedong was actually someone born, right, of the Yi, right, of the Yi star. And then you know who is Jiang Qing, right? Jiang Qing was his wife, right? Was one of his wives. Mao Zedong has many wives, or mistresses, but Jiang Qing was Jiang Qing, right? Was one of the famous one, and she was of the Zhang star. And in terms of the relationship, right, they actually shares a karmic relationship of family members, all right, families. So in the previous life, all right, I know both of them has passed away already. This Chairman Mao and Jiang Qing, you guys can do a double check or using Wikipedia or whatever. Who is Jiang Qing? Okay, so they actually share a family relationship in their previous life. And indeed, we look back at history, Jiang Qing played a very significant role in helping Mao, likewise, right? Especially, I believe during the Cultural Revolution, she was actually one of the mastermind, right? And actually created a lot of havoc in China. Right, John Simon, you are correct. There are actually two schools. One is 27, one is 28 star. Both can be used. Okay, different depending on like Zi Wei Dou Shu. We have the Southern School, we have the Northern School, we have the Shanhe Pai, we have the Qiantian Pai. Like BaZi, we have the Wan Pai, we have the like Wei Qian Li. They kind of different kind of authors. They have different kind of teachings, but the 27 star or the 28 star both can be used. And likewise, you can find out the personality or characteristics of both themselves and the people around their life. So you can actually open these and check. For example, you met a girl. Is this girl going to benefit you in this lifetime or not? You can actually use this 27 or 28 stars constellation to double check on that. But of course, right, you really need the rest historical book, all right, on this, right? I'm not sure if it can be found on the internet, but you guys can do a check on that, right, by yourself. And lastly, right, of course, another very interesting point is how we are able to borrow, also called like transfer the wealth from our previous life to our present life. Okay, there are actually methods to it. Okay, first of all, we have to look at our Lai Yin Gong. For example, in the case of Donald Trump, the Lai Yin Gong is actually at the bodily domain, right? So we can actually fix the Lai Yin Gong at the body domain. All right, for example, in this case, body domain. Likewise, right, we can use the flying star sequence. For example, the flying star sequence at his this Lai Yin Gong is as such that the wealth catalyst star is at the property, right? We can see that it's actually at the property. That's why Donald Trump is able to gain extraordinarily great amount of wealth from property transaction. As we all know, his father was also a tycoon, right, who became wealthy because of property development or real estate. All right, and indeed Donald Trump, likewise, if we look at his his 紫微斗数 birth chart, 来阴宫, right? If we look at 来阴宫 as the point of reference to observe the flying star sequence, we can see that the wealth catalyst star is actually at the property domain, which is called 田宅宫. In terms of the flying star sequence, as most of my students have already know, right? The star sequence will basically have to follow the heavenly stamps of your whatever domain that you are at. For instance, if your flying star is if your heavenly stamp is of Bing, right? Bing 同机昌年, all right? Because for Donald Trump, all right, I know for those basic learners, you will not be able to comprehend, but just listen it as a form of background knowledge first. When we look at 紫微斗数 birth chart, for example, in Donald Trump's case, given that his year of birth, the 来阴宫, right, which is the heavenly stamps of the year of birth, is actually at the body domain. So we can actually use the body domain to take it as the domain whereby we generate the flying star, the point of reference, right? 就是我们在紫微斗数里面用这个宫位来画出类似画飞星，就是我们的画禄、画权、画克、画忌。那因为丙同忌昌年啊，丙的天干的时候呢，天机是画禄，天梁是画权，然后呢文昌是画科，廉政是画忌的，所以我们就能够看得到啊，他的画禄就在他的田宅宫哎，有没有看到 ？We can observe very clearly that using this Bing heavenly stamps as a reference point to create the well catalyst star falling into the domain pairing with 天同。The authority catalyst star 天机 being paired at this domain, right? Being paired with 天机 at Mao, and then the following domain, which is 文昌 Hua Ke, right? Having the Feng catalyst at this you know what we call the career and the children's domain, and also subsequently the 廉政, which is having a negativity and other stuff right at his life, this 病耳宫. So we can see property domain is a channel, right? Property or property transaction or real estate can be a channel whereby he can borrow, so-called borrow to generate great wealth. And indeed, yes, it's true for Donald Trump, right? 如果我们看一下Donald Trump 的 history 呢，他的出生背景嘛，就是他的父亲已经是一个非常有钱的建筑商啊，就是那种建屋子的那种买地卖地啊，然后建屋子的那种商人啊。然后他的来阴宫画禄的地方就是在他的田宅宫哦，所以这个是我们可以看得出他的财富是从哪里来的咯。所以我们也可以看一下自己的来阴宫，然后那个四化飞星的化禄星是落在哪一个宫位来判断我们的财富，我们是可以如何借我们上一辈子的财富来到这一辈子来用。好，能够不能够了解 ？Alright, let me repeat again in English. Donald Trump's case, his karma, in terms of his karmic consequences, it was such that he can bring forward or bring to this life the luck related to property transaction from his previous life. So indeed, Donald Trump was able to become wealthy right through property transaction. Okay, so I know it's a little bit in depth, but since you guys asked for it, right? You guys always ask me this kind of question. I will just show you guys all these answers. All right. And hopefully you guys will be able to comprehend by doing your own research, doing deeper study, okay? And lastly, how are we able to use the 玄空 flying star to determine someone's karmic consequences, right? It is going to be another kind of worm, but in terms of 紫微斗数 and 玄空 flying star, both schools can actually be used in tandem in order to give you analysis of both collective karma and individual karma. What I meant by collective karma, right? 我们呢在因果关系上面呢有一个叫做个人的因果哦，或者我写下来哈，那比较清楚一点，因为有时候呢我说的东西我怕你们不了解哈，因为我就是知道很多都是初学者哈，我不能够说的太过深入哈，因为呢你们通常只是说希望听起来是一种兴趣，可是我们有两种因果关系哈。因果关系呢是有两种的哦，因果第一种呢叫做个人的因果，好或者叫做业啦。 我们也叫做业。好，我们常常都说万般带不走，唯独业随身啊，就是你死的时候嘛，你的钱啊，你的 Rolls Royce 啊，你的 Rolex 啊，你的所有的钱啊，总之你拥有的全部东西你是带不走的。只有你的因果能够带去你下一辈子。那个就是你的个人因果。Your individual karma. Right? There are two types of karma. The first type is called the individual's karma, right? Which you bring with you, right, when you die. You cannot bring along your Rolls Royce, carry along your Apple Watch or your Rolex. You cannot bring your house with you when you die. The only thing you can bring forward, right, to your next life is your karma. Okay, and the second type of karma is called the collective karma. Alright, 叫做共业。我们叫做共业。什么叫做共业呢？ What is collective karma? For example, some people, right, they all have different date and time of birth. But why is it that they take the same aeroplane and they all die together, like the Malaysia airline MH, was it 704 or something? Like all of them, they have a different date and time of birth. But they took the same aeroplane and they die together. Why is it that it will be as such? Or some people, right, they go for a holiday, right? Suddenly, right, a tsunami came, and millions of people die suddenly all together. This is what I meant by collective karma. Okay, and collective karma can actually be analyzed using 玄空 flying star. All right, 玄空 flying star is a school of knowledge that takes into account the movement of the star. Okay, and certain star, right, like Jupiter, which is one of the largest stars, actually will have a impact in our humans' life development or the life forces on Earth, right? And which is often used in Feng Shui. But just want to give you a very brief introduction of Shen Kong Flying Star. We have different stars such as, for instance, right? For example, this year, which is 2024, right? We have some of the star, for example, at the south, right? We have the star Po Jun, right? At the north, we have the star called the Ba, which is the Ba Bai, right? And then at the west, we have the Lian Zhen star, right? Lian Zhen, Wu Wang Lian Zhen, right? And then at the east, we have the Tanang Yi Bai. And if you are familiar with Zi Wei Dou Shu, right, you will realize that the flying star or Shen Kong flying star is also using the same type of star, right? Ba is called 左父, by the way, all right? It's also using the same types of star, right, for analysis. Okay, for example, right, this Lian Zhen here, all right, you guys can do more research on that. Of course, we have other star. Perhaps I will just quickly go through. We have the 九子 star, which is called You Bi. All right, and we also have the star called Wen Chang. We also have the star called Wu Qu. We also have the star called Ju Men. And we also have the star called Lu Chun. So if you are familiar with Zi Wei Dou Shu, you can also learn Shen Kong Flying Star. It is a school of knowledge that is more related to Feng Shui. But it is also a school of knowledge that can reveal to us collective karma, 就是我们的工业了。Pauline, thank you very much for your comment. Is another pretty interesting school of knowledge that you can learn about or find out more. Yes, MH370. Yes, indeed, right? Why is it that people who are born on very different day, different time, but they all suffer from the same fate? And that is what we call collective karma, right? For example, a lot of people in their previous life, they have conducted, for example, in the Second World War, for example, a lot of Japanese soldiers, they murder thousands, millions of Chinese, right? Perhaps, right, some of them, they have reincarnated, but a lot of them, they have taken part in this massacre. So in this present life, they will also suffer from this collective karma, whereby they will die together on the same day, all right? So don't play with karma, okay? If you always go about, right, like, you like to cheat people, right? You provide them with a free BaZi reading, then force them to buy a $5,000 kind of jade, right? All these are negative karma. That's why if you don't stop negative karma from multiplying, it will affect a lot of people and become a form of collective karma. That's why I myself, as a practitioner of BaZi and Zi Wei Dou Shu, I'm always very bold and very courageous in terms of pointing out what is wrong in the industry, because I don't want all this collective karma to get to me, because I don't want to, be part of this negative collective karma. All right. So I know I'm very direct and very honest and very straightforward, sometimes too bold, but I'm not scared, right? If people are daring to lie, right? I will be more daring, 10 times more daring to tell you the truth, right? Because I don't want to be part of that collective negative karma. I rather have my own positive individual karma for my next life, okay? But you guys know what I meant by collective karma by now is that you have done, or like some people, they have collectively in a group, they've done something terrible, right, in the past life. So in this life, they also have to suffer a mass, right? Means they have to die together in a plane crash or die together in a tsunami, etc. All right. So it's very important for us to be very careful with karma. That's why I will always try my best to cultivate and to impart to all my followers and viewers, right? Whoever who is watching my video, I will try to bring about or spread positive karma by spreading positive and truthful knowledge to you guys. So don't mind me for being so direct and so honest. But coming back to Xuan Kong Flying Star, it is a form of knowledge that can help us to determine our positive or negative future. For example, Jimen is a star that is always related to dispute, conflicts, quarreling, etc. Paul Jun is always related to theft, right, or destruction. Yobi is usually related to happy events. Yan Zhen is always related to illness, sickness, legal problems. Wen Chan is always related to scholastic achievements, having successful contracts. And Lu Chun is always related to kind of like sometimes dispute, especially related to finances. And Ba Bai Zuo Fu is always related to direct wealth. Wu Ju is always related to, for example, more towards entrepreneurship, businesses. And Tana is always related to Tao Hua or peach blossom or romance luck. Okay, so by looking at all these charts, we can actually pair the Zi Wei Dou Shu chart with the Xuan Kong Flying Star. Let me give you another example. For example, nowadays we are in the 9 universal period already. 就是我们在9运里面呢，我们已经进入了9运了嘛，哈，如果你们还不知道啊。In terms of the Xuan Kong Flying Star, right, we have already entered into the 9th period, and the sequence will always go like this, all right? 1, right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? Okay, this is 9. The Xuan Kong Flying Star will always fly in such a sequence. Okay, 1 flying to 2 in such a manner, flying to 3 in such a manner, flying to 4 in such a manner, flying to 5 in such a manner, flying to 6 in such a manner, flying to 7 is in such a manner, flying to 8 in such a manner, flying to 9 in such a manner. All right, this is the movements of star, right, as discovered by an ancient astrologer. All right, so you don't have to memorize this, but I'm just trying to tell you the correct school of teaching how the flying star sequence will go. So if we look at the Zi Wei Dou Shu chart, right, you guys have, right, I mean, especially my students, for example, Donald Trump's chart, right, we know that within the chart there are heavenly stems and earthly branches, right? For example, we can see that the Wu Earth is here, which represents the south. The Zi Water is here, which represents the north. The You here, which represents the west, and then the Mao here, which represents the east. And you can likewise, right, use the flying star sequence and the Zi Wei Dou Shu sequence, right, to plot the chart. For example, we use Donald Trump's, right, for case study, all right, and then we also draw out the Xuan Kong Flying Star. All right, we have at the south, which is now, right, the 9th period, the south, which is number 4, all right, and then, all right, this is 6, this is 2, this is 1, this is 9, this is 5, right, this is 3, this is 7, and this is 8. And then in terms of Donald Trump, we can see, right, his career domain, where exactly is his or his current destiny domain, which is from 2020 to this what we call the 2029, right, which is at the court of Sun, right, which is at the court of Sun. Then you can plot it here, right? For example, Donald Trump now is actually at this Sun being paired with Yan Zhen. right? Then, okay, sorry about my handwriting, 廉政 and 化忌, some more being paired with negativity and 100 star. And when you look at the sun direction, where exactly is the sun direction? The sun direction is actually of the southwest, all right, southwest, which is right here, all right, perhaps I will use another color, southwest, which is represented by number 6, okay, which is represented by number 6. And I have told you before, right, number 6 is represented by which star, right? Number 6 is represented by one of the negative star, not so called very negative, but right, it is called all right, in terms of the 9 universal period, right, it is called the Wu Qu, right? Wu Qu, in terms of their characteristics, is that they will usually be very realistic, also very materialistic, and they do everything just for profit, right? Just for profits. People who have this Wu Qu style within their life, they are usually very realistic people. So there is likewise, in terms of Donald Trump's presidency, you think he is really trying to become the president and want to, for the glory of taking good care of Americans? I'm not quite sure, because what I know now is that he's under a lot of debts, and by entering into this presidential election is basically for him to achieve this very realistic goal, which is to postpone the payment of debts, right? And that is exactly reflected by this 玄空 flying star, right? Which shows collective karma, right? Which shows collective karma that if America is really that unlucky, right? That all of the American citizens are not thinking straight. They want to vote for Donald Trump's, even though he's someone who has committed multiple counts of crimes. If American is suffering from such negative karma that all of them want to vote for Donald Trump, and then subsequently, right, this will be a form of manifestation in terms of 玄空 flying star also, that people care about nothing but realistic goals, right? For realistic goal, for profits. Like for example, they go to war just because they want the country to they want to steal the resources from their country, or etc., right? So all this will bring about a lot of disastrous effects, right? And ultimately, we can also look at where exactly is the right, is the number 5 star, right? The number 5 star, which is Wang Xing, which is one of the worst star, right? In terms of 玄空 flying star, it is actually facing the loft, right? And we look at the loft, right? In Donald Trump's chart, right, the loft is actually where he is having the current career domain. His current career domain from 2020 to 2029 is actually where the 5 yellow negative star is facing or meeting with his career domain, decade career domain. All right. So let me draw it out for you carefully. All right, in case there are students or beginner students, or people who are not familiar with 紫微斗数 or Feng Shui, right? Looking back at Donald Trump's 紫微斗数 chart, right? Let me just draw his chart. Right, this is the Wu, which represents the southern direction, and this is the Zi, which represents the northern direction. It is where his decade, right? This is his decade career. That's why after 2020, he actually was not able to continue his presidency, right? Presidency in America, right? If I'm not wrong, Donald Trump was out which year was it out of office in which year? Was it after 2018 or 2020, right? It was exactly right at the year of 2020, whereby his decade trend has entered into this Zi domain, right? If you look at his chart, right, this Zi domain, it is where his decade career domain is, right? Donald Trump, right? This decade domain, right? Can you see my mouse moving? This is his decade career. And that is exactly at the Zi domain, which is the law domain, okay? And if you look at the Shui flying star, right? Let me go back to the Shui flying star, right? Let me highlight that this at the law Zi domain, right? You look back at the Shui flying star, for the 9 period, right? For the 9 period, which I have already written, this 5 here, right? It is one of the most negative star, which is exactly of this Lian Zhen, right? Exactly of this Lian Zhen, and that is exactly where the decade trend life domain is. You look at this, so Zi Wei Dou Shu and Xuan Kong Flying Star is both showing the same thing, right? And for Zi Wei Dou Shu, Donald Trump's decade life domain is having 2 times of the negativity enhancer star, and likewise for the Xuan Kong Flying Star, right? Wu Wang, which is the 5 yellow represented by Lian Zhen, right? Which is a negative star, is also found, right, where his decade, right, the decade career domain is from 2020 onwards. It is exactly the year when he has lost the presidential election, right? So it is by no coincidence. Okay, all these are written within his birth chart. So this is also how, right, we, right, as learners of BaZi and Zi Wei Dou Shu and Feng Shui, use to calculate our own birth chart to see whether we will have a positive development or negative development in the future, and where we can actually so-called borrow wealth from our previous life. Look at your Lai Yin Gong, determine where Lai Yin Gong is, then find out where the wealth catalyst star is related to the Lai Yin Gong, and that's the domain, or that are the activities, right, depending on the meaning of the domain and the meaning of the star, to know what kind of activities you can do to generate great wealth in life. So I hope today's teaching has been an interesting one. I know it will be difficult for new students of Zi Wei Dou Shu and Xuan Kong Flying Star to understand, but a lot of you has been repeatedly asking me this type of questions, so I will generously share with you the truth, and hopefully you guys and all my students especially to do more research on that. Okay, so Ray Song has a comment: if my 命主 Wu Qu Shen Zu Tian, what is my karmic wealth? Then you really have to open your birth chart. For example, perhaps you can quickly give me your date and time of birth, Ray Song. If you don't mind, I can quickly pull up your Zi Wei Dou Shu birth chart and to tell you. I will just stay here for a few minutes. Hopefully, you can give me the date and time of birth. I also see some of the WhatsApp comments. Thank you very much for replying to my messages. Yeah, so I will just wait for Gray Zone if you are still here. If not, right, I will do it in the next live video. So thank you all for watching tonight. Hopefully today's topic is not too confusing, but it will be a kind of like eye opener or something as a fun of introduction of us practitioner, how we look at someone's previous life and know how to leverage on our past life positive karma to increase wealth and prosperity in this lifetime. Thank you very much for watching. If you like my video, please press the like and share button. Remember to also hit the notification button so that you'll be notified when I go on to live, usually on Thursday evening or Sunday evening. So wishing you a beautiful Sunday evening, and please feel free to comment, right, if you have any more questions, and I will reply subsequently. Thank you all for being here tonight, and has been a pleasure to share my knowledge again, and wishing you a beautiful evening. Oh, Rovan, also thank you very much. First time seeing you comments. A lot of new viewers recently, and Mr. Philly, also thank you very much for being here tonight. So do rewatch and try to digest, because it is going to be very useful for all of us. It's a very practical way to increase wealth for life. So thank you once again. I will see you guys in the next live video. Bye bye.